Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This is a really important concept, but how do you know what are the stupid games that aren't even worth playing? Today, I want to talk about a very simple concept that I use to determine what are those games in life that are actually worth playing, much less winning. But let's just rewind for a second, because the most profound shift I think I ever realized in my own life was around the framing of my ADHD. For majority of my life until I was about 28, 29 years old, I had ADHD framed in my mind as the reason why I couldn't be successful in life. The things that made me uniquely weird through the lens of ADHD didn't set me up well to perform well in school, didn't set me up to perform well in corporate America, right? Couldn't sit still, couldn't pay attention, couldn't, follow the rules. And so I struggled on that path playing that game. And the struggle for me, the real hard part of that was, at the time, I thought it was the only game to be played, right? Like I was young. I hadn't had a lot of exposure to other games in the world that you could play. And so I grew up hearing you go to school, you get good grades. It was not even negotiable that I was going to go to college. Like, it was just always understood from a very young age that you were going to go to college. It is the next step in your evolution. And then logically from there, you're going to go into corporate America. You're going to get a job. You're going to work your way up the ladder and do all that stuff, right? That was the path that my dad had followed, and my dad's dad before him. And so it was the path that I was going to follow. And it was only because my life got so off the rails that, and I hit rock bottom living in the back of a van with $80,000 of debt, that I was like, okay, well, this isn't working. I'm losing this game. I get my ass kicked. And just fortune put this person in front of me at that point in my life that exposed me to a different game to be played, which was the game of entrepreneurship. And it was then that I realized that it wasn't ADHD that was the problem. That wasn't the thing that was holding me back in life. It wasn't the cards I had been dealt. It was the games I had been choosing to play with those cards. And the cards of ADHD were never going to allow me to be victorious in the games that I had been playing up to that point. And so I went through a lot of my life feeling like a loser, feeling like a failure, feeling like ADHD was the reason I sucked, right? And it was with that exposure to this new game, the game of entrepreneurship, that I realized you can't change your cards, but you can change the game. And that was crazy, because as soon as I started playing games where the cards I'd been dealt were no longer bad, they were actually strong, I started to do well. And so I've been thinking about that ever since, is like, where are the games in life that I'm currently playing that I don't even realize I'm playing? And in what ways might I be playing a losing game? So how do you determine which games are worth winning, which ones are worth losing, or not even participating in at all, right? Because going back to what we started this podcast episode with, if you play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. There's nothing worse than to win a game that at the end of the day, you look back and realize it wasn't worth playing in the first place, which I think is what a lot of people are doing, right? They're playing status games, or they're playing the working your way up the corporate ladder game. And then they 30 years down the road, they get the promotion, they get the corner office, they look back and they go, what, this is all it is? This is what it was? Like, this is what I was working towards the whole time. I won, but like, this doesn't feel like a win. The simple rule to be able to determine which games are actually worth winning and which ones have stupid prizes that you don't want is to look at the people who have supposedly won the game that you find yourself currently playing. It's that simple. Look, if you're in, let's say, a introductory role in a company, right? You just came out of school, you're in that role, you're working your way up the ladder, and you're like, I have my eyes set on this promotion, I want that role. Simply look at the person who already is sitting inside that role, who is already doing that job, and ask yourself, do you want that person's life? Because your life is not going to look markedly different than that person's once you get to that place. And you can just do that thought experiment, extrapolate it out by a couple of degrees. So don't just look at the person above where you are right now, but look at the person above that person, the person above that person. Look hard at that guy who comes into the corner office. Look hard at his life, his relationships, his fitness, and ask yourself, is that really the prize that you want to have? Because it's incredibly unlikely that you're going to work your way up the same path that person did, find yourself in the same circumstances that person does, and that you are somehow going to have different results elsewhere in life. And so you can see the prize that they have. Oh yeah, they drive that nice Mercedes, but he always is in the office. He's always working. He's always grumpy. He's out of shape. He seems to have a bad relationship. He's divorced. He doesn't see his kids, right? That sounds like a stupid game to win. And so that doesn't mean that you have to full cloth just change the game. It could just mean changing how you play the game and saying, you know, I do want that guy's position, but I don't want the rest of his life. So I'm not going to mirror what he did to get there. I'm going to do differently so that I can maintain my faith, my family, my fitness, in addition to my finances, whatever, right? But it's so critical that you only take advice and therefore follow in the footsteps of people who've gone to the place that you want to be. And if they're where you want to be in one aspect of their life, but the rest of their life is in complete shambles, I would say you should be very careful about taking that person's path to the top, because their path is going to lead you to the same place. And so that's just a general, very useful little rule, is like anything that you want in life, somebody else has probably already achieved it. And so go find that person and figure out what they did and then mirror that as closely as possible. But if they have what you want in some areas but not in the other areas, then you are playing a stupid game and you will eventually win a stupid prize. And when you get that on that day, you will realize, man, I should have played a different game entirely. So that's it for me, beautiful guys and girls. I will see you in the next episode. Stay cool. I never said that before. We're new outro.